Kate, can you hear me okay?
Yes, I can. Thank you.
Excellent. We'll go ahead and get started then. Good evening, I guess, since it's 5:15. This meeting of the Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission will now come to order. Today is Monday, December 14th, 2015, and the time is 5:15 p.m. If everyone would please rise, I'd like to ask Vice Chair Freeman to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great, thank you. If we could go ahead with roll call. Vice Chair Freeman.
Here.
Commissioner Canlon.
Present.
Commissioner McNulty.
Here.
Commissioner Sturts.
Here.
We have a quorum. Other participants in today's meeting, I understand, include our Executive Director, Ray Bladine.
Yes.
Christina Gomez, our Deputy Executive Director. We have legal counsel participating in the room, Joe Canefield and Kristen Wintberg. And then on the phone, Mary O'Grady. And then we also have other staff for the IRC, Anna Garcia and Lisa Schmelling. Our court reporter today is Kate Rounding. And we have video being taken by Eric Shenfield. Is that anybody else is there anybody else there on the staff that I missed or on the phone?
Colleen, it's Scott. Nobody else on the staff. We do have 4 members of the public here as well. And if you want to consider that and where we sort of slot the anticipated executive session.
Okay, great, thanks. This brings us then to the second item on the agenda. Looking at the agenda, I guess, if we wanted to, I don't know if it makes sense for Mr. Bladine or Ms. Gomez to give their executive director's report, because we do have a legal briefing as the second item, which will likely mean the commission going into executive session. Mr. Bladine, do you have any thoughts on that?
I think it would be nice for the public to go ahead and take the executive director's report. Vice Chair Freeman had suggested that earlier too, and it won't take us very long, and Christina will present it.
Okay, great. Everyone should have received a number of attachments that were sent out to the commissioners, so I assume you'll be going through those.
Yes.
Great. Thanks, Christina.
Sure. Madam Chair, Commission members, first of all, I'd like to go through the budget. This is the spreadsheet that's titled Fiscal Year 2016. And this is the monthly expenditure report that is forwarded to the Commission each month. So in November, you can see we spent a total of $167,098. Two items in December. The item for $9 and for $70, those were accidentally taken from the wrong fiscal year. Those were 2 FY15 bills that came in at the very last minute. So the State Board's office went ahead and they made those adjustments. So you will see next month that those 2 bills will be taken out of FY15. And also, too, you will also notice in June, under professional and outside services, the remaining balance there is $1.6 million. That's just the projection that's left over from the combined FY16 appropriation and the supplemental as well. And the second spreadsheet, it just shows the adjustments from FY15. So once again, those are bills that came in at the very last minute from fiscal year 15. Next, our office staff. We still have Anna Garcia and Lisa Schmeling still with the office. The big news with our office is we are finally in our new office space, so it looks pretty nice. There's no more rats, no more mice, no more mold, so we're happy about that. And so far, so good. We're still trying to unpack some boxes, but we're doing well here. The next item is technology. Buck has taken another job in the private sector, so he won't be able to join us as often. So Eric was nice enough to help us out this meeting. But Buck will still help with website postings and any other technology issues with our agency. And finally, the 2001 and 2010 records are back with Library and Archives, so they were happy to have their records back, and we were happy to give them back. And the current files for this commission, they're all boxed up and they're in Ray's office right now.
No, they're in Christina's office.
But they are with us, so. Any questions?
Thank you, Ms. Gomez. I just want to give a shout out to the Evans House and thank it for its service. I understand the State Historic Preservation Office is now taking over, but I'm still a big fan of that place, and I'm glad that it served us well, rodents included. But anybody have any questions for Christina? Okay, I'm not hearing any. Anything from Mr. Bladeen?
I might just comment briefly. I think Christina covered the budget in great detail, but as you know, all of our legal expenses are starting to come in again. Christina and I have reviewed where we are. We believe that we will be fine this year. We have enough appropriation with the supplemental and this year's appropriation. It's hard to know what will happen in the next fiscal year. It depends on timing. If Harris ends up being still a case and how fast things proceed in Leach. But I think that sometime probably in February we could see whether normally we would get about 1.1 million a year, and it may be sufficient or may not. But clearly right now we are fine, so I would just add that.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Mr. Bladeen or on this agenda item before we move on? Okay, hearing none. Thank you very much, Ms. Gomez and Mr. Bladeen, for all your work and for getting us moved into new space. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll go back. Oh, I guess we could do public comment now, too.
Madam Chair, it's Scott Freeman. I just sort of whispered to everyone who was here and asked them whether they were going to have any comment, and I think everyone said no. So there you have it.
Okay, thank you for doing that. Then we'll go ahead and go back to agenda item 2, which is legal briefing, discussion and possible action relating to pending litigation in Leach versus Arizona Independent Redistricting Commission, including authorization of expenditures pursuant to ARS 38-431.07B. The Commission may vote to go into executive session, which will not be open to the public, for the purpose of obtaining legal advice and providing direction to counsel. And with that, I apologize to the public in advance that we'll be likely doing this, but we'll first see, I guess, if the Commission votes to do so. But I'm not sure how long we'll be in. We have an estimated time of 30 minutes, and so people are welcome to stay in the vicinity if they'd like to. But can I first get a motion to go into executive session?
I move we go into executive session for the purpose of this agenda item.
And I
There-
second.
Okay, thank you. The motion has been seconded. Any discussion?
Madam Chair, it's Scott Freeman.
Go ahead, Mr. Freeman.
The only thing I'd ask is whether there would be any update that could be provided that would pertain to this agenda item that would not need to be covered by executive session before we go into executive session.
That's a good question. Mary or Joe or Kristen, is there anything you'd like to say there?
Madam Chair, this is Joe Canefield. Can
Go ahead, Joe.
everybody hear me okay?
Yep.
So we could just give a very, very quick, update on the Leach case and where we are at. You might recall that this case was stayed during the duration of the U.S. Supreme Court proceedings in the Arizona legislature case. When that case was decided in favor of the commission, the stay was lifted and the case resumed. So at this point, we are actively in the middle of discovery, and that is where we are, unless there's any questions.
Questions for Mr. Canefield?
Madam Chair, this is Kristen Wintberg. Before you do that, just for
go ahead.
purposes of our record, if everyone on the phone could say their names before they start speaking, I think we're just having a little bit of trouble here making sure the record is clear.
Great, will do.
Thank you.
For the record,
was
I made the
Colleen.
motion. This is Linda McNulty. I made the motion to go into executive session.
And for the record, this is Commissioner Callan, and I second the motion to go into executive session.
Any other discussion on this motion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay, any opposed? I think I heard 5 ayes. Okay, not hearing any. With that, we'll exit out of public session. The time is 5:28 p.m. And I'm not sure what the arrangements are there, Mr. Bladine, if you want to let me know when the public is cleared.
Certainly.
We'll enter back into public session now. The time is 5:57 p.m. Do we have any members of the public that stayed with us? Just curious.
We have two.
Oh, great. I'm glad. Are there any motions that any commissioners would like to propose coming out of executive session?
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Callan. At this time, I'd like to move to authorize the expenditure to defend the claim of violations of the statutory open meeting law as raised in Leach v. IRC.
Is there a second?
I would second it. Can I suggest a clarification?
Sure. Go ahead,
That
Commissioner Multi.
that we authorize defense of the commission and its any of its officers or any of its members.
Okay.
And, I would amend my motion to reflect that we were asking that it would be as the commission as a body and the officer, its officers, the commissioners, as individuals as well.
Okay. Thank you for that amended motion.
And Madam Chair, Scott Freeman, just a point
Go
of
ahead.
just a point of clarification. Its officers or its members, its commissioners. That's all inclusive. That would include all 5 commissioners, correct?
That's my understanding. Legal counsel? Or I guess we can ask the people who made the motion.
Yes, Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Callan, and yes, it is intended that it would include all 5 commissioners, if need be.
Any discussion?
Madam Chair, this is Joe Canfield. I just want to clarify that this motion, as I understand it, is being made in accordance with the requirement in the open meeting law, specifically ARS 38-431.07, subsection B.
Okay. Is that accurate, Mr. Callan?
Yes, it is,
Okay.
Madam Chair.
Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. Are there any other motions coming out of executive session that anyone wants to propose?
This is Linda. I would move that we authorize council to proceed with the motions that they specifically described to us in executive session in accordance with their recommendations.
Is there a second?
Madam Chair, this is Commissioner Callan. I would second that motion.
Any discussion? Well, hearing none, I guess we'll take a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed?
Nay.
Okay, so it sounds like we had 4 ayes and 1 opposed, Vice Chair Freeman. Are there any other motions coming out of executive session that anyone wants to propose? Okay, well, hearing none, I believe that takes us to the end of the agenda. Is anyone waving their arms or anything?
I think we're good.
Wow, this is great. Okay, well, I hope everyone has a great holiday season, and thanks for being here tonight, and thank you, Kate, for being willing to stick with us through this, and for all the staff's work tonight and throughout the year. We really appreciate it. With that, I'll declare this meeting adjourned at 6:02 p.m.
Thank you. Happy holidays, everyone.
Good night,
Bye.
everyone.
Merry Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
What happened to us? I thought I'd be here till 7. I'm not complaining.
Amazing, yeah.
It's the shortest commission
I'm
meeting
not
ever.
complaining. Wow.
Good.
Is that in-